Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the Tome of Champions 2020 edition. Here we go, here's the Tome of Champions 2020 edition, a really great book, especially if you like playing campaign mode. So in this video we'll go right through, take a good look at the whole book, work our way right through all the contents and weigh up if this is a good option for you, and hopefully it'll give you a good idea if this is something you'd like to add to your Warcry collection. With so many books out there, it's just difficult to know which ones to get. I mean, we definitely have to have the core book, but then we've also got the Catacombs book, then we've got the Alliance books, we've got the Agents of Chaos, the Bringers of Death, Harbingers of Destruction, Sentinels of Order, we've also got the Tome of Champions 2019, and we've got the Monsters and Mercenaries book. So just which ones do we need? And I think I'll cover that in a separate video because there's just so much to go through, and I think it's really going to be dependent on how you like to play and also what factions and warbands you like to use. But we're focused here on the Tome of Champions, and I think this is a really good book to get. Again, if you like playing the campaign section, then this is really interesting. But it's also got some good bits in here in case you like to play solo, and there's some rules that we can use for that. So I think this is a really interesting part of this game, and as more and more of us are having to play solo now at the moment, then this could be a really good book. So let's work through it, have a look at the contents, and then you can work out if there's something you would like to get. Here we go, I'm working through the contents. We're going to go through some rules updates. I've just covered some of those in the recent errata that came out last week. We'll also take a look at the open play section, narrative play, which has got a huge amount of information about Soroth Core, the Silent City. We'll look at narrative battles, Trial of Champions, fated quests, challenge battles, and then we've got some more lesser artifacts, match play, and then we'll go through some of the appendix as well. And that will cover, after that, some little bits on Roman beasts, which includes the Restless Undead. And this is a really nice feature, and perhaps something that you might like to add to your game too. So starting off, all these books get a nice introduction, all about the ore points and what's going on in the world of Warcry. And this is going to introduce us to Soroth Core. And I won't read through it, because if you're going to get the book, you're going to want to read that yourself. But this gives us the kind of starting information for Soroth Core, which is what a huge part of this book is going to be about. And altogether in this book, we've got 112 pages, so there's lots to have a look and read through. So that's the brief introduction. And then moving forward, we just get a little bit more about kind of what the Tome of Champions is going to be about. And it says you'll discover a whole host of new content with which to expand your games of Warcry. Whichever mode of play you favour, whether it's open, narrative or match play, you're sure to find something to suit you in the pages of this mighty volume. So there's going to be loads in here, depending on how you like to play the game. I'd still say it's more campaign driven, but there's definitely information you can use for the other styles. And it's going to give us a little bit of a rules update here. And so it's just going through the different faction rune marks now. So in Chaos, we've got a lot extra ones, certainly from the core rulebook. This is introducing a lot of the Age of Sigmar ones now. And also up here for this section, for the Order faction, there's a lot going on with Age of Sigmar. And if you've seen the book I've done for Agents of Chaos book, then you'll see what I mean for this. But this is a really good feature of Warcry, how you can use all the different cities of Sigmar, and you can take fighters from lots of different factions and play them all under one city. So it's really fun. The Alliance books are really great, but especially the Order one that focuses on the cities of Sigmar. Really good. So yeah, check that video out if you're interested in that. We're also getting a little update to the campaign rules, and I went through this in the errata as well, but it's good to note that it's all in here, and it includes the glory points for campaigns, which has changed. It's given us like an extra option, and it's just changed the points around. So instead of getting 5 points if you win the battle, now you only get 2, but if you take part, you get 3 points instead of the previous 1. So that's really good. So even if you lose, you're still going to get enough glory points to be able to use that in your next battle to have some effect. Another little rules update was in reinforcements and lesser artifacts. So just got to replace the information from there as well. And this rule update for the lesser artifacts is really great because now instead of it being an action, it's a bonus action. So that's really good now, much better. And as we move on, so now we're going to start with open play. And in this section, you'll find expanded rules for Triumph and Treachery, a game of fast-paced multiplayer battles. And this is going to build on the rule set in the core book. So you need the core book still. This is like a supplement on top of that. So you still need that. And this is all to do with introducing gruesome pit fights, hyper-violent encounters, fought to satisfy the bloodthirsty denizens of the 8 points. And so this is a great way to get a group of friends together and to play a game. So really interesting. And that's going to break down kind of how you do this. Triumph and Treachery pit fights. And this is going to tell us how to set up a pit fight, detail the war bands, the battle groups and the battle plan. And it's going to tell you which victory cards to use and include them in this book as well. And then it goes into fight in the battle, the special rules that are going to come with that. And then how to include a pit fight in a campaign. So that's really interesting. You can include that as part of your campaign. That would be really fun. And also the dungeon pit fight. So building on catacombs. So that's really nice. And so now we're going into the narrative play. And so this is really focusing on Soroth Core, the Silent City. And this is a great read to have a good look through and get to know that. But this section really is giving you tons of narrative and background, really setting up the scene for this Soroth Core campaign. And there's a lot of information to read through on this, so it's definitely worth getting the book if you're interested in playing a long campaign with Soroth Core as the background. And it's got lots of detail about the territories of Soroth Core, dominating and stealing territory, upgrading. It's got a territory exploration phase, and phase 1, 2 and 3. It's got an aftermath sequence specific to it, so it's got some relevant artifacts of power and command traits that are going to be really tied into the narrative. So there's a lot going on here, and you can see the first convergence, the second. It kind of gives you a little bit more information than you'd normally get in the Fated quests and the campaign quests we've seen in the previous books. And then a little bit here, hints and tips for the campaign master, how to organise the schedule, create a newsletter, multiplayer battles. So this is all about if you've got like an event or you're running a group and you've got different friends playing. This is if you're in charge of kind of organising that. This is going to help you out. And ending the campaign, a huge amount here. So you can see there's a lot going on. And you even get a specific Soroth Core warband roster to fill out with the different phases marked. So it's very different to what we've seen in the previous books. And now we've got some more on narrative battles. And so again, this is still tied into that. So this is giving us the terrain, deployment, victory as we normally see, the layout, the deployment. We've got an extra ability here, so that's really nice. And there's lots of different ones. So this is a real nice touch. There's so much content here, so much gameplay, it's unreal. And now we're on to Trial of Champions, so we've covered all that. Now this section contains additional rules that you can apply to any Warcry campaign to play it in champion mode. And this is kind of going to make it a little bit more difficult. And so this is a really interesting section. And it's all, you have to embark on a campaign, but you start in champion mode from the beginning. So you can't jump in halfway and change it. So the idea is you do a fresh campaign and you start as you mean to go on in champion mode. You can still add fighters, but there's going to be things where, like, if they get injured, then those injuries are going to be long-lasting, and so they're going to have effects that go with you right throughout the campaign. And there's going to be ways to reverse it, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. And the idea is this adds a new layer of grit and realism to the campaign. So that's going to be a really kind of tough way to play it and make it a little bit more difficult. So you can still add fighters and everything like that, but we've got territory exploration. So there's a little bit of details about this and a separate table. And then also critical injuries. This is a really interesting part. So your fighters can get gut wounds, cracked ribs, broken legs. And with these, for example, with the broken leg, warriors with a damaged leg must move slowly but surely, rendering them easy prey for swifter foes. So on here, you roll a dice. On a 1, the injury is permanent. On a 2+, it's temporary. And then subtract 1 from the move characteristic of this fighter to a minimum of 1 while they have the injury. So it's things like that. So that's going to really cut down on their movement. The fractured arm is going to cut down on their strength characteristic. blind in one eye is going to cut their attacks characteristic, so each one's going to have a different effect. And then there's also some different rewards, so you can get champion rewards, which is really good. And these are in addition to the regular lesser artifacts. So there's a little extra here. So if you get a double when you're rolling on the lesser artifact table, you can get some of these champion rewards. So that's really fun. And now we're on to Fated Quests. And this section is going to give us 8 special campaign quests that we already know as Fated Quests. And again, we use these in conjunction with our core book. And so, let's see, these are going to be pretty much for any warband, I would imagine, in this one. Yeah, so you'll notice there's no faction rune mark, so any faction can use this from any of the alliances. This is also linked to the new Catacomb set, so it says here the terrain maps for Fated Quests in this book use the scenery models from Warcry Catacombs, so you don't have to have all the scenery that came with the original starter set, so that's really good. And these are nice. Very much familiar with this layout now. We've got the Artifacts of Power, the Command trait, first, second, and final convergences, and the campaign outcome. And these Fated Quests differ from the ones in the original core book because the territory rules are on the introductory page rather than being on each of the Fated Quests. So in the core book, you'll see the territory rules will be on each Fated Quest, but here it applies to all of them. So we're going to get 8 of these. This is really good. And it's including that terrain that you'll have if you picked up the Catacomb set. So loads of gameplay here. Each one's 11, potentially at least 11 battles per campaign. So there's no end of battles to be had. And this is going to include the boards from Catacombs, the new Catacombs board set. So you get some extra boards that you can use, and that's including that here. So if you don't have those, you just have to kind of change this slightly to use the boards that come in the set. And there we go. And then we've got some new Spores of Victory. So these are going to apply to each of those Fated Quests. And we've got our Glory, again applying to the Fated Quests. And now we're on to Challenge Battles. And in this section, you're going to find 5 Challenge Battles. And these are unique battles, again, available to any warband or faction, but they've got to be currently embarked upon a campaign quest. And that's going to detail everything you need to know to play a challenge battle. And now this is the really interesting section here called Wild Fighters. So it says in the introduction that in the challenge battles in this book, 2 players and their warbands join forces to battle enemies controlled by the game. These enemy fighters are referred to as wild fighters, and the following rules explain how they are used in battle. And this covers everything from mustering them to fighting with them, activating, what actions and abilities they're going to use, how they're going to behave. So this is really setting up the kind of AI for having fighters that you're playing against in solo mode if you wanted to. So you could take all this information here and apply it to a warband that you want to fight against on your own. So this is really cool. So just to give you an example, you've got the behavior table. So this is telling you how the fighters are going to behave, and it's based on what range they're in. And it tells you how to work out whether they're in combat range, threat range, or beyond threat range. And then, depending on what range they're in, they're going to react in different ways. So first you roll a d6, and say you roll a 2. If they're in combat range, they're going to do 2 things. First, they're going to use an ability which is called Indomitable. And so they're going to use the ability that's written here. And then they're going to attack. If they're in threat range, they're going to do that Indomitable and then move. And if they're beyond, they're going to do the Indomitable and then move again. And if you rolled a 3 and they were close enough in combat range, they'd attack and then attack again. And in this one, if they're not that close but can get close enough to attack, which they call in threat range, they're going to move and then attack. So each time you activate the kind of enemy player or fighter, you're kind of going to just roll a dice, and then this is going to tell you exactly how they're going to react. So once you've worked out their range, you then roll a dice and then do what it tells you on the behavior table. And these fighter abilities are unique to them. So this is great. So it's just a couple of pages, but that could open up all of solo play to us and make it really simple with some AI already set up for us to put in play. And this is something I'm going to be doing really soon. and so I'll do a video specifically on this for solo play. So look out for that coming really soon, and I'll probably do it with the Beasts of Chaos as we keep playing them through the campaign. So this, for me, this is probably the most interesting part of this book, because I'm really looking at doing solo play, and although when I play on my own now, I just switch sides. So I take the role of the other warband and I just react, trying to gain the objectives and trying to win the game based on how they would do it, and then I flick back and forth. But having this setup is going to really let you focus on your own warband, and then you've got this kind of AI fighting against you. And I think it's going to be really interesting. So I can't wait to try it out, and I'll definitely do maybe more than one video on this really soon. Okay, so now we're on to these challenge battles, and so again, this is where you kind of have the two warbands teaming up against the kind of AI, if you like, but there's no reason why you couldn't just do these on your own with one warband, so that would work as well. But again, I think we've got to try it out, so I might pick one of these and maybe do a video with that. But you can see here, it's allowing us to use the Mega Gargant, the Lord of Change, so it's kind of bringing in these new fighters that we can use within the game. And then we get our artifacts of power, lesser artifacts, and then it's going to give us some tables that are specific to chaos, order, death, and destruction. So there we go. So we're getting some new lesser artifacts now. So this is really great. And again, specific to chaos. So you get 2 for chaos, 2 for order, 2 for death, 2 for destruction. So tons of information there that we can all add to our game. So that's really good. And now we're on to matched play. And in these pages, we're going to find new finely balanced pitch battle scenarios, so we can test our tactical skills together with expanded rules for using hidden agendas as secondary objectives and tiebreakers in tournaments. Also included are rules for running tournaments where your warband improves after each game. So this probably is not going to get much use at the moment, this tournament. This is really when you can start playing lots of other people on a regular basis. But it's good that it's got it in here, and it gives us some extra content, battles, information. We got this new hidden agendas, which looks interesting. So there's 12 included here. And again, going on to the escalation for lesser artifacts. So that's the tournament section. Not going to get a lot of use. And now we're into the appendix. Nice bit of artwork there. Really nice. I like the colours. They're really great. And then we're on to this thing called Roaming Beasts. And the rules in this section will add even more wild fauna to your Warcry battles by expanding the Chaotic Beast rules in the core book. These rules are best suited for campaign battles, but can still be used in open and match play games too. So I've just covered the Chaotic Beasts in a video earlier today, before this one came out, and this is great. So this expands on it, and it includes wild cave creatures and restless undead. So the idea is, when you take a twist card, if it comes with the wild creatures rune mark, if both players agree, they can instead use the rules in this section to dictate which creatures will appear on the battlefield. So we're going to get some wild cave creatures, which include the cave squig, the fellwater troggoth, and the rockgut troggoth, and they've got their own abilities and fighter cards. Or it could be the restless undead, and these are going to take from Legions of Nagash and from the Night Haunt as well. And so these can come into play again with restless undead abilities and fighter cards. So this is a really nice twist to add it in, and I think this would be really fun to play. And when you combine these pages with the Chaotic Beast rules, then again you've got a little bit of AI going on there, and combine that with the wild fighters, then you've got some potential for some more solo action there. So that's really great. And then moving on to open play terrain, just talks a little bit about that, how to set it up. There's a little generator if you wanted to use that. And then at the back we get a Warcry tournament roster, but again, you're probably not going to use that unless you're able to play other people. And then with a nice photo and artwork on the back, that brings us to the end of the book. And all up, 112 pages plus the cover, packed with information there. But for me, the solo play options in this are what it's really making it stand out. Price-wise, this is £20 RRP, but I picked it up for £17 at Element Games, and I'll put a link in the description below where you can get that discount too. And it's an affiliate link, but it won't cost you anything extra. In fact, it's going to save you that £3 there, and for every sale made through an affiliate link, I get a small commission, and that's going to help me do loads more videos like this. So thanks so much for that support. I really appreciate it. If you like this kind of content, then you can also support the channel by taking a look at the Patreon page, and that's a great community where we hang out on Discord, share our hobby, ideas, discuss everything related to Warcry, Underworlds, and the new Warhammer Quest Curse City game. And there's some great content on there that you're just not going to find anywhere else. And so yeah, if you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description, and it'd be awesome to see you there. I hope this video was helpful and gave you a good idea of what's included in the book, and so you can work out if this is something you want to add to your game. And with so many of these other books included, it really is difficult to decide which ones you need to get. So I think really soon I'll do another video where I kind of just get all the books together and talk about which ones I think you really need for the game, and then which ones that you could get as supplements just to add to it. But a lot of it's going to depend on your style of play and what faction you use. Thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Game.